thanks for coming to the Wenatchee City Council meeting. First thing we'll do is a pledge of allegiance. Council member, yes, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Atkinson. Let's see, roll call. We do have a couple of excused council members. Could get a motion, please. Linda, her ankle about 2 hours ago, I believe. So she was at the doctor's office. I guess no.
Garner, I'll make a motion to. Garner, I'll make a motion to excuse Councilmember Harold and Councilmember Wenatchee.
Second. There's a motion by Councilmember Ewart, a second by Councilmember Atkinson to excuse Councilmember Linda Harold and Councilmember Roger Segan. Discussion or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. We did have a sign-up sheet for public comment, which we limit to 3 minutes to talk about any item, including anything on the agenda. Mr. Sutton, would you like to come up first?
Jeff Sutton, I reside at 1498 Elmwood, Wenatchee, Washington, and I'm here representing Velocity. And I just wanted to take a chance to thank the council and staff for all the work that you did this last year at the pool. Big commitment, and then also with the Pioneer Park and those commitments. Last year, Velocity was able to hold 2 lake ice swim meets, and I just got from Jason with the Sports Council. Apple Capital brought in $651,168 in tourism spending, and our other meet brought in $305,564 in tourism spending. So again, thank you for your commitment to that. It really is a vital program for aquatic programming, regardless if it's a competitive swimming, and it's really a life safety and a life skill with 2 rivers running right through our valley. So I just really want to thank you all for your dedicated effort, and also extend the invite at the end of this month. Starting the 29th, we have our Apple Capital meet, and then 3 weeks later after that, we have our that. So if you start seeing by Pioneer Park and all these pop-up tents hanging out in the park and wonder what's going on, please come on and check that. Additionally, I'd love for you to come by the swimming pool, and if you're gonna do that, you've got to have your own swim cap. So buy and check out the this app and all of that. So have your own.
Thanks, Jim. Actually, I thought I heard something today about Vegas, people signed up for this next meet or something.
We're just about 970, so
Yeah,
we're more like the 920 we had last year, so a little bit. So we're adding this half a day of Thursday just because we're getting growing and people want to do that. So it's just a wonderful pool facility. It's the only 10-lane outdoor pool in the state. So thank you all. Yeah, we'd like to have to go up out.
Thank you again, John. Dorothy, would you like to come up?
Thank you. I'm Dorothy Ferguson. I live in Wenatchee. I just want to say thank you for holding these meetings. Oops, sorry. Holding these meetings in different places in the community, because it's really great to be able to get out and enjoy it. And I brought my grandson earlier. We went to go and got gelato and went to the Alvaro place. So it's really great benefit for us too. Also, thank you for seeking community input on your surveys that are online for like the future of, Wenatchee. Committee members being able to give their input on what probably like our city to grow. And I want to thank everybody, that all the staff and department heads, for their efforts on behalf of our city to keep it thriving and fiscally responsible. And it's a great place to raise kids and grandkids. And I'm always very impressed with the presentations that are being done by the different departments. They break it down so we can understand it. And it's just a great place to be. Thank you.
Your grandson, 8, right? 8, yeah. That's nice talking to them. Thanks for bringing them. Future leaders. Love it. Anybody else would like to come up for three? This will be an appropriate time. My mom's in the audience. She comes to us Mother's Day. I asked her not to. I can't legally do it, but I'm still gonna say thanks. Thanks for being here, Mom. All right, our citizen comments is closed and we can go on to our consent items.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion for the city council to approve the agenda vouchers at the previous meeting to authorize the mayor to sign the right-of-way transaction documents for the acquisition of property rights from Albert Full LLC for the construction of Confluence Parkway Phase 1, project number 2201.1. To authorize the mayor to sign the right-of-way transaction documents for the acquisition of property rights from Govex Fruit Packaging for the construction of Confluence Parkway Phase 1, project number 2201.1. And to authorize the mayor to sign the right-of-way transaction documents for the acquisition of property rights from Rincon Investments LLC for the construction of Confluence Parkway Phase 1, project number 2201.1.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Atkinson and a second by Councilmember Navarro Gomez for city council to approve the agenda vouchers and minutes from previous meetings to authorize the mayor to sign the right-of-way transaction documents for the acquisition of property rights from Alberts Holdings LLC for the construction of Confluence Parkway Phase 1, project number 2201.1. To authorize the mayor to sign the right-of-way transaction documents for the acquisition of property rights from the Dovex Fruit Packaging for the construction of Confluence Parkway Phase 1, project number 2201.1. And authorize the mayor to sign the right-of-way transaction documents for the acquisition of property rights from Rincon Investments and Reliability Corporation for the construction of Confluence Parkway Phase 1, project number 2201.1. Any discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We did have a couple presentations tonight with us, the Police Week proclamation. Oh, perfect.
Thank you. Proclamation for National Police Week. Proclamation to designate May 11th through 17, 2025 as National Police Week. In 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and a calendar week in which May 15 falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the Wenatchee Police Department play an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of our community, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that the members of our department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, protecting them against violence or disorder, and protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas our police department has grown to be a modern and professional law enforcement agency, which unceasingly provides a vital public service. Now therefore, I, Mike Poyer, Mayor of the City of Wenatchee, do recognize the week of May 11th through 17, 2025 as National Police Week, and further extend appreciation to our Police Chief Edgar Reinfeld and to all law enforcement for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the community they serve. In witness whereof, I hereby set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Wenatchee to be affixed on this 8th day of May, 2025, Mike Poyer, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Ewer. Who do we have? Chief Reinfeld's not here. He's taking a vacation after the big week. Battle Blossom. Captain Chance, you want to come up there? I would love for you to come up here and face whoever you want to face and have a little talk.
Okay, so public or the council? I'm speaking. Nobody told me I was gonna be speaking.
All three of you have to say something.
We all have, okay, well, you're up next, Kevin. No, I would just say, you know, from myself, from police department,
thank you to our wonderful city council, Mayor Poirier. Just for all the support that we continuously feel and see from you guys when it comes to budget asks, when it comes to things that are going on in the city. You're all very engaging when we run into each other and are curious how we're doing and how our people are doing, which is very important to us. If we're not well, then we can't do what that proclamation states in keeping the public safe and keeping our community safe. So we just appreciate all the support that we not only get from the council, but of course from our community at large here. We do feel very, very supported here in Wenatchee. And we're gonna do everything we can to maintain that, increase it, and just have a great relationship and hopefully bring pride by our public to our police department. So thank you very much. Means a lot that you guys do this each year. It's a fun little event for us. So thanks for having us.
Okay, we won't make you say anything, but we'd like you guys to come up here and the city council maybe to stand up and take a little quick picture. Somehow. Alright. Will that work? If you can't see, but
That microphone gonna be right in the middle.
there you go. Perfect. All right, yeah, all right. Ready? Perfect.
Have one more proclamation.
Oh, Your Honor, I have that one. National Public Works Week Proclamation, May 18th through 2024, 2025. People, purpose, presence. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and service that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Wenatchee. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated effort of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, employees of all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste system, public buildings and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Wenatchee to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the National Public Works Association. Now, therefore, I, Mike Poirier, Mayor of the City of Wenatchee, do hereby designate the week of May 18 through 24, 2025 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the National Public Works Association and the government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public work professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the sustainable contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. I witness, therefore, I have hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Wenatchee to be fixed on this 8th day of May 2025. I witness, therefore, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Wenatchee to be fixed on this 8th day of May 2020. Mike Poirier, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Hornby. I'm kind of curious what you're gonna say. I was kind of hoping you could say a little bit about we get a chance for an hour to play with equipment. Oh, yeah, you can explain that.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Poirier. On behalf of the entire Public Works Department, thank you, council members and Mayor Poirier for the recognition and recognizing the Public Works Week to this proclamation. The Public Works team works tirelessly, primarily behind the scenes to ensure the city runs smoothly. We have 80 full-time employees that keep the city running. This is primarily comprised of 3 divisions in public works. We have operations, engineering, and utilities. And of total, we have 5 specialized teams that are on call 24/7, which is quite a commitment. And they're available to respond with, at any hour of the day or night. And that's important to note because not only are they on call, but we have a street maintenance division that works nights almost 6 months out of the year. And that's quite a commitment and dedication. And I'm just honored to say that, these professionals that work for the city of Wenatchee, every day they bring integrity and commitment and just really lean into public service, and they really want to further the community. In honor of Public Works Week, like Mayor Poyer indicated, on May 20th, we're gonna have a barbecue over at our Public Services Center, and we're gonna have an equipment rodeo, and we're gonna give staff the opportunity to participate in this rodeo, and it's a competition, and there's games, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, and whether, the team is maintaining roadways or our capital group and utility teams delivering $150 million in capital projects, not including Confidence Parkway. It's $350 million, include Confidence Parkway. So heavy lift there. Our wastewater treatment plant operators are working every day to maintain the plant on weekends and holidays. So again, just a big commitment, and I'm just proud to lead a team that has such a high amount of integrity and just willingness to serve the community. So again, thank you, council members. Thank you, Mayor Poyer. Appreciate it.
We have lots of public.
We're gonna do all city council.
Go on back. Well, we have lots.
Oh, got a lot of people.
Lots of public works staff.
Yeah.
You're all.
How about everybody? We'll do one here and then we'll.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, you guys have to stay until the end of the meeting and then we'll take lunch.
Okay. You want to do that? Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Who's doing, my sure. Transportation Benefit District presentation.
Grab the mic, put that.
Hello? You hear me?
Oh.
Hello? All right. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Charlotte Mitchell. Sorry, I'm gonna move this just a little bit. To my face. Senior Project Engineer. I'm here tonight to talk about the ballot measure the city is bringing to the citizens of Wenatchee this August 5th to vote regarding a TBD sales tax increase of 2/10 to fully fund the city's pavement preservation program. This ballot measure, if approved, will be in effect for 10 years. And the reason for this ballot measure is that current funding amounts are not enough to maintain our city streets condition. Next slide, please. So this is our agenda for tonight. We're gonna talk about what is a TBD, our past pavement situation, our present pavement situation. Our finance director, Brad Posenjack, will be up here to talk about finances, and then we're gonna talk about the future. Please feel free to stop me at any time if you have questions. That'd probably be easier than saving them up for the end. Next slide. So as I said, our objective is to fully fund the city's pavement preservation program through a sales tax increase. And our goal is to ensure that streets are maintained at an adequate and sustainable pavement condition. Next. So you might be wondering, probably not you folks, but maybe some folks out there, what is a TBD? Stands for Transportation Benefit District. The state law allows cities and counties to form transportation benefit districts, TBDs, to raise funds for transportation projects. Usually this is done through vehicle license fees or sales taxes. The city of Wenatchee formed a TBD in 2011, and then in 2022, the council enacted a sales tax of 1/10 to partially fund the pavement preservation program. Next. So some facts about pavement in the city of Wenatchee, we have 244 lane miles of pavement. That's quite a lot. It'd take me a while to run that much. Maybe never could do it. So we use something called PCI to score our city streets. Every 2 years, we send folks out and they look at every city street and they give it a score. So the number goes from 0, which is just terrible rubble, to 100, which means the paver just got done paving it. So there's 4 groups in there. 0 to 25 is in very poor condition. The next group is poor, 51 to 70 is good, and then 71 to 100 is very good. Excellent. All right, so some common methods of pavement preservation. You've probably seen the crack seal out there. It looks like black ribbons on the asphalt. So what they're doing there is they're filling in the cracks so that water can't get underneath and the freeze thaw cycle will break the asphalt up further. So that's a maintenance part of preserving our roadways. We have chip seals, which is a layer of liquid asphalt that we spray on a roadway and then we cover it with small rocks. We have overlays where we grind some of the existing pavement and then put back fresh, or sometimes we'll just overlay without grinding, which is just a fresh layer on top. We have pavement repair, which if it's really failing, then we'll dig up the areas that are in trouble and we'll replace that with new materials. Next slide. So this chart is all about the cost of each of those things and at which number we can apply them. So for example, if a roadway has a PCI of 75 or above 70, it's in the very good band. So in that instance, we can do a chip seal, which is the liquid asphalt with the rocks. And so that's a lot cheaper. It's $4.70 a square yard to put in. But if we have something, for example, below 25, at that point, we can't chip seal it, because that would be like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg, right? It wouldn't do what needs to be done. So that you need full reconstruction. And as you can see there, if it's, the top one is for asphalt and the bottom one is PCC, is concrete, basically. So most of our streets are asphalt, so it'd be $61 to $100 per square yard for that. Next, I'm going to show you some examples. So this is Miller Street. This PCI is 88, which means it's in very good condition. So if we were looking to rehab this one, and 88 is probably a little high to be reapplying something, but anything above 70, we would be able to chip seal it. So that's like $4.70 a square yard to maintain that. Next, this is 5th Street. West of Western. So this PCI is 58. You can see there's some cracking in where the wheel path is, and you can see there's some transverse cracking. That just means across the roadway. So for a PCI 58, we would need to do some pavement repair most likely. So we would maybe go find that spot that's a little alligatory and dig it up and fix it, and then we would grind and overlay. So that's closer to $20 to $30 a square yard. And then the next one is Franklin Street. So you can see this has got a lot of what we would call like alligator cracking, transverse cracks. Basically, you can tell it's an old road and it's been used quite a bit. So for Franklin, it's 43. And so for that, we would have to do base repair, so more intensive repair, and then grind and overlay. So we're getting closer to $40 a square yard to repair this road. Next. And then we have Elliott Street, and this picture makes it look extra bad because it has the crack ceiling, but that's actually a good thing because that's holding this road together and keeping it from getting worse. But it rates at a 22, which means it's very poor. So at this point, we really don't, there's not much we can do beyond just scraping it all up and starting over. And so that is really expensive. That's $60 to $100 a square yard. So we really try hard to avoid letting our roads get to this point, so that we don't have to spend all that amount of money. Next slide, please. So now we're going to go through the timeline of our pavement preservation program. Back in 2011, as I said before, the city formed a TBD. And then in 2016, the city went through a robust process to determine goals and the best way to preserve our city streets. So that resulted in us having the goal of having an overall city average PCI of 70. So not that all streets would be at a 70, but that they would all kind of average out to be 70. Unfortunately, the program has never had dedicated funding that is sufficient to meet the needs. So this program's always been underfunded. This means that the pavement preservation fund has been reliant on general fund money, which isn't always available, as I'll show you as we head towards the recent years here. So in 2019, they did supplement, and so we did over 15 miles of road and raised the PCI to 70. In 2020, they again gave general fund money, added it, and they did 6.5 miles and kept it at 70. In 22, there were general funds added and they kept the PCI at 70. And then you see in 2023, there was a lot closer to the actual current funding. The annual funding is 2.2 million, which is what we have every year for our paving. And so then in 2024, we have the 2.2. And so as you can tell, once we didn't get that general fund influx of money, the PCI dropped. So we're down to 65 in 24, and right now we're currently at 64. So we're gonna do a chip seal this year with the amount of money we have, but that'll keep us right around that 64. So the question I've heard asked is, well, what are we doing with the money we do have? What are we doing with that 2.2 million? So every year we have a pavement, or most years we have a pavement preservation project. So if you go to the next slide. So this is 2023. This isn't all the streets we did, but we have on the left Seattle Avenue, and on the right is Met Howe, which we paved with some additional streets. We did a grind and overlay, so we ground out a certain amount and then put back fresh. Next slide. In 2024, we also did a grind and overlay. So this is Seattle Avenue, and on the right is Worthen. Actually right out in front of this building, we paved, in addition to some additional streets. So next page. So this is out of our program that's called Street Saver. It's just a computer program that we use to keep track of our streets and to select what projects we're doing. So if you look at the top right, the speedometer looking graph, that's our current PCI. So you can see in comparison to a similar size agency, we're at the 55th percentile. We used to be a lot higher, but we haven't had as much funding in the last couple of years, so it's been dropping. And then if you look in the middle top, there's those 3 bars that say arterial, collector, and residential. So that's just the way that we separate streets and put them into groups. So arterial streets would be like Chelan and Mission. A collector would be like Red Apple Road. And residential streets would be like Walker Avenue or Pershing. So you can see there that our arterials are average of 72. Our collectors are 64 and our residentials are 61. So our arterials by and large are in better shape, and that is intentional. They have more volume of traffic, more people use them, and so we put a little more effort into making sure they're good. But the problem is that a lot of the funding has been going towards those, and then the residentials down at the bottom don't get as much attention, as much money as we would hope. So if you go to the next slide. So this is our current budget. And right now it shows that our PCI is a 65, really closer to 64, but if we continue the way we are funded with $2.2 million per year, by 2035, our average citywide PCI will be 53. The blue bars on the bottom are our deferred maintenance. And really what that means is things we just cannot get to because we don't have the money. So they just have to slide. So it's those streets that we really wish that we could pave, and we hear about them, but we just don't have the money to rehabilitate them. So one thing we need to think about is that city streets will always need to be maintained. They're always going to be there. This isn't something that's going to go away. And pavement preservation is an investment into our city's biggest asset, which is our city streets. Next. So back when they originated the pavement preservation program, that they did put a lot of effort in and decided that we were going to have the goal of maintaining a PCI of 70. Right now, as I said, we're at 64. So if we wanted to get back to a PCI of 70, and this isn't realistic, we can't, it just shows what the level of effort needed. We would need $7.4 million the first year, and then around $4.2 million the following years, and then you can see the deferred maintenance as well going up. If you go to the next. So a little more realistic right now is, let's try to get back to PCI of 65 and then climb our way back to a PCI of 70. So if you look at this, it shows, you know, this year we have our 2.2 million, but next year we would need 3.9 and then 3.7. And so that is why we're saying we need 4.2 to get us climb back to 70 and then maintain at 70. That is the $2 million gap right there, is the difference between what we have, which is 2.2, and what we need is 4.2. If you look at the next slide. So what this slide does is it compares the deferred maintenance between all of those things. So once again, deferred maintenance is just the stuff you can't get to, right? So the green is if we just stopped spending money on our roads and didn't rehabilitate them at all, which is not realistic, but that's that top line. And then the blue line is what we currently have funded. So if we stay on the amount that we have every year right now, then that blue line is what our deferred maintenance. So in 2035, we'll have $64.9 million in deferred maintenance. The yellow line is the PCI of 65, and then that orange line, which is the bottom line, that is what our goal is to have a PCI of 70. That 70 is the industry standard for average condition that we would like to all aim for. So with that, I will hand it off to our finance director, Brad Pleasantjack, to talk to you about the money.
Good evening. As Charlotte has been presenting the pavement preservation program, which is an important portion of what the city spends for its streets, but it's not the only thing that the city spends on its streets. And so I'm here to kind of take a step back and give some context as to all of the street funding that the city is spending its money on, just to be just kind of to help give a little bit more detail on that. The city has three main buckets for our street funding. We call them funds. We've got the street maintenance fund, the arterial street fund, and the street overlay fund. That street overlay fund we also call pavement preservation. The light blue on these charts represents our property tax. This pays for most of the general street maintenance, and it pays for the grant match portion of our arterial street fund. So the property tax comes from the general fund, and that is covering a significant amount of the maintenance that's happening. The pavement preservation fund is currently funded at 2.2 million, and that's by combining the current 1/10 TBD sales tax along with a portion of our real estate excise tax. So that's where the 2.2 million current funding that Charlotte was talking about. And also just to be clear, these funds have nothing to do with the Apple Capital Loop project. That is maintained in a completely separate fund because that is so large it would really distort any year-to-year comparisons with any of these funds. And just to keep those grant funds from not being commingled with all the other street funds, those aren't even in this picture. Next slide, thank you. For the sake of transparency, I'd like to dive a little bit more into a few details of these funds. All of this information on these next few slides can be found in the city's 2025 budget document, which our budget went through a public process and has been posted on the city's website for the past 6 months. So if you want to pull these up yourself, you can. As seen on the previous slide, this first bucket is the street maintenance fund. It pays for things like snow removal, street sweeping, pothole repair, crack sealing, the traffic lighting, and street signals. Again, the majority of this fund comes from the general fund, property tax revenue. And that's noted the 3.4 million transfer in for 2025. That's coming from the general fund property tax. So this is all the ongoing maintenance that the city has to do regardless of the capital projects that it has. The next, the second bucket is the arterial street fund. And kind of just as mentioned before, this fund tracks grant funded street projects, such as the award-winning Baby Kitchen project. The revenue in this fund, it will vary from year to year, depending on what grant awards the city has obtained. And also, if you want to see the different grant awards and the different arterial street projects that are being done, towards the end of the budget document, it lists summaries of all of those projects if you want to see those. Both of these first two funds are both operating on minimal reserves. So neither of them has any additional cash to go towards the pavement preservation program. And then on the third bucket, here's the street overlay fund, which again, this is basically the pavement preservation fund. You can see the total either total revenues or total expenses for 2025. That's the 2.2 million number that Charlotte has been referring to. And what makes up that of the revenues, the first line on there is 1.6 million of TBD, Transportation Benefit District sales tax. That after seeing how 2024 finished, that 1.6 is actually probably going to be more like 1.5 in sales tax. And so as we start talking about the future proposed sales tax, we talk about basically $1.5 million for every 0.1%. I'll get back to my notes now. So if the voters do approve that 0.2%, then you should expect to see that budgeted 1.6 number actually be 4.5 million in our 2026 budget. So if you're suspicious of what the finance director would do with an extra 3 million of sales tax, look at that line right there in 2026's budget, and that you can check me out on that. So on the next slide, why would the city propose a sales tax to its voters? We believe that this is the most efficient and cost-effective method for the city residents to be able to maintain the quality of their streets. We did explore other available options, which are here, and I'll just kind of briefly cover. Under the TBD, the city does have the authority to levy vehicle license fees, proposed vehicle license fees. The city used to have the $20 RTAB fee that everybody paid it, and that would generate about $650,000 per year at the $20 level. And so if we wanted to use vehicle licensing fees for that, we would need $60 per vehicle to get that 2 million number that we needed to get from that 2.2 to that 4.2. And so then if you think of a household that has 2 vehicles, that annual cost for them would increase by $120 a year if we wanted to generate that 2 million. If you wanted to generate 2 million of additional property tax revenue, we'd have to increase 36 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. That equates to for someone who owns a home that's assessed at $500,000, that would be an additional $180 per year to generate 2 million. And so then we looked at the sales tax, and with the sales tax, again, we could do the 1/10 or an additional 2/10. And so 1/10 would get us about $1.5 million, which is doesn't get us to that extra 2 million number that we needed. So if we did a 0.2%, that would actually give us a little extra for a cushion with 3 million per year. And that ends up being 20 cents for every $100 that somebody spends on taxable goods. And just kind of as a reminder, taxable goods it does not include food, it does not include your utilities or your rent or your mortgage. None of those expenses in your life are taxed. And so it's the taxable goods. And one thing to note is that the first two options, they only apply to people who reside within the city limits. The third option of the sales tax, that one applies to anybody who does business, works, plays within the city Wenatchee. And the sales tax, I kind of skipped over it, but the 20 cents per $100 of taxable goods, just doing a little bit of research on that and what an average household would spend on the taxable goods. It could be anywhere between 15,000 and 20,000 for the normal average household. And if for a family that spends 15,000 on taxable goods, the sales tax would increase your annual contribution to the city by $30. So we're talking about $30 to $40 additional per year. So we just felt that was the most cost-effective option to float to the citizens of Wenatchee. So I know the finances are super fun. So any questions on finances before I turn it over to Charlotte for?
One question. Let's say it passes. Let's say it passes by the voters. Do we have an estimate date that we can start rebuilding or reconstructing our roads and people or residents can see that, okay, here's our money, it's getting used? Is it, an example of that?
I would think that if it passed on the August ballot, then the tax would be implemented January 1st, 2026. And so if it passed on the August ballot, that would give us enough time to build a program into well, I shouldn't speak for Charlotte, but I'm pretty sure she's got streets identified. And I would imagine that they could get a program ready to go for the 2026 pavement preservation program. Again, I can let Charlotte speak to how long it would take before you actually saw a noticeable difference, but there would definitely be a larger pavement preservation program beginning next year. You nodding back then? Thank you.
Don't worry, I can spend that much on our roads. So now we're talking about the future. If you go to the next slide, our outreach, we're here today, talking to you folks. And then we're going to Compliment Rotary, June 4th. And so if anybody has any service groups or any groups that they would like me to come and talk to them and answer questions about this, just let us know. I'm more than happy to talk to whoever wants to talk about this. And then if you go to the next slide. So the bottom line is that the city has $2.2 million of funding for street preservation. But to keep streets at an industry standard, we need 4.2 million. So we have a $2 million gap. That's the big takeaway from today. And then our pavement preservation goals are to continue to use the latest pavement management techniques to make the best use of current funds available. So I'm always trying to find a cheaper way to get better roads. To use the funds currently available to keep the average citywide PCI as high as possible. We know right now we just can't hit that 70, but we'll do our best with the money that we have available. And then the third is to fund the previously city council approved pavement preservation program goal of maintaining a citywide average of PCI of 70. So we want to get there. We just can't right now. And so the long-term goal is to get back there. So with that, any questions?
No questions for me, John, guys. I just wanted to clarify, like, so if you're on Amazon and you buy something, that sales tax goes to, the street preservation. If you're out of town, visiting, you're going to a restaurant, et cetera, all those funds go to this, so it is, spread out among all of us. And it was fun for me to see that I live on some of the worst streets in Wenatchee, so no special privileges for this guy.
You're welcome.
And I live on Elliott.
I didn't think that on purpose, I promise.
No, it's just good that, we looked at every model, how to get this paid for. It's nice that it goes to the voters to decide, but it's really the education piece, so we really need to get out there and demonstrate like if it's gonna be, roughly $30 per household versus whatever, 180 to get property tax. So I really like this approach. And I'm proud of the city council to do this resolution. We're gonna also come out, I think next city council with a supporting resolution for this that we could go out on. So we'll work on that also, but yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention is that as far as funding sources, there really aren't grants for Wenatchee for pavement preservation. There are some organizations that do have grants for pavement preservation, but unfortunately they consider Wenatchee to be too big to need help. Which is real sad. So we aren't even eligible to apply for those grants. So that's another reason that we're here asking for this, is that this is just sort of our best ask, because there's really nowhere else for us to get this. Thank you so much.
Your Honor, I would like to make a motion to approve. Oh.
We're just gonna do it.
Okay, make a motion to move to our action items.
Jessica.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Jessica Shaw, Deputy Public Works Director, Utilities, our Public Works Department. And tonight for your consideration, I have the 2025 Temporary Water Right Agreement. So I believe I've been here several times to talk about all the different agreements and applications that we've had to fill out in the past. And so this agreement actually is a whole new agreement and will eliminate the annual temporary change application that I have to keep coming back to you. So we'll hopefully reduce our amount of paperwork. It does continue to allow us to lease our water rights, our pioneer water rights, the regional water system, which is East Wenatchee Water District, Cheyenne PUD, and the city of Wenatchee. We're not using these water rights, and so we'll be leasing them through Crown to Granite Farms in the Walla Walla area. And the other benefit of this agreement is it's actually for 2026 through 2029. And so it buys us several years. That gives some assurity to the farmer that they can use the water for irrigating, and also that we'll continue to receive the lease revenue from being able to lease out those water rights. Some key points of this agreement I just wanted to point out. In previous agreements, Crown had agreed to pay our legal services, but more recently in recent agreements, we agreed that they would only pay 75, well, we would pay 75% and they would pay 25%. But they did not lower the cost for the lease. So there was kind of some give and take in negotiating the agreement. We also had to wait many years to get a farmer to be able to take our water. So we feel like this was a fair deal for everybody. We also know that by going forward, if we go forward this agreement, we will not have as much paperwork for the attorneys. And so our legal fees should be less since we're not having to do this annual change application. So the annual revenue that the regional water system would receive is $197,790. And that money will go towards future capital projects for the regional waters. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Why don't you, like the regional water, I understand that maybe you could review who's all involved with regional water and also why the end date of 2029.
Yeah, great. Of course, Mr. Mayor, great question. So the regional water group, so East Wenatchee Water District, Cheyenne County PUD, and the city of Wenatchee We've been working together for decades now in providing water to the entire Wenatchee Valley. And one of the goals of the regional water system was to ensure that we have water rights for our community to continue to grow for many and many years, at least 30 to 20 years out. And we, at this point in time, have plenty of water rights. That's why we have this ability to be able to lease them out for others to use. And so the goal or the reason for the 2029 end date is because we also are very mindful of water right rules and policies. And so we want to make sure that in leasing these water rights, we don't put them in jeopardy of being relinquished or in any way taken from us. So these are very valuable asset to us. And so we have to limit how much time that we are allowed to use those water rights outside of our community. So that's why this only goes through 2029. And we have an amazing legal team of folks that help us to make sure that we are keeping our water rights safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to answer any other questions anyone might have.
Okay, Your Honor, I'd like to motion for the city council to approve the 2025 temporary water right agreement between Crown Columbia Water Resources LLC and the regional water system and authorize the city administrator's signature.
Second.
Not because we want to submit.
We have a motion by Councilmember Pybus and second by Councilmember Hornby. For city council to approve the 2025 temporary water right agreement between Crown Columbia Water Resources Limited Liability Corporation and the regional water system and authorize the city administrator's signature. Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the hard work. People don't realize, and I say this a lot of times when Jessica up here, other cities, other counties call for her expertise. And it's pretty impressive. So thank you for staying with the city and continuing. It's a good fight for
Thank you.
regional water.
I'm happy to be here.
Hi, Darcy.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Darcy Ronning, Utility Project Manager, City of Wenatchee, Public Works Department. Tonight, for your consideration, I'm bringing before you a project we call the Milledale Utility Study. And we're wanting to award this contract to Gray and Osborne for their professional services. Those professional services will include a hard look at what we call the Milledale area around the high school. You guys have a map on the very last page, if you want to refer to that for the area. In this area, we control the water, sewer, and stormwater. It's an older area where we know we have challenges with pipes being smaller in size. We have some stormwater pipes that go into the sewer system. And we know that we just need to really take a hard look at the capacity there and how we can better serve that area in the future. So this study is in our comp plan, but it doesn't go into as much detail as we want to achieve with this study. Gray and Osborne will actually do modeling for the area for the pipe size and recommend a path forward that would ultimately turn into future projects. They would create a new capital improvement list for us for this area that we can then take forward into future budgets and start planning for those areas. I would give us a tool if development comes into the area that we could then advise developers of the community, things that we need to do to upsize the utilities to meet the needs of, say, another apartment complex or a school remodel. Right now, we don't have enough information. So when we do studies like this, they will give us that information. And so for your consideration, we're hoping that you will approve the city administrator to sign the contract with Gray and Osborne. And we'll get started right away on this study.
Darcy, this is brought up to the finance committee right, the other day.
Yeah.
And then there was a little bit of savings because we're already doing something in that area. Right, wasn't there some bridge or something?
The engineering department is doing the Milledale Bridge Canal crossing. That's at the very west end of the project. It's a little corner of our project on the map. And so our study will actually look at a much larger area around the high school, Red Apple Road, So they're doing a little bit of that work, but we don't have as many answers for them yet that we hope to have. Well, quite a bit more answers out of this. That makes sense? Sorry, okay. We've just looked at that little corner.
Okay, Your Honor, I would like to make a motion to approve the city project. Excuse me, Millerdale Utility Study contract with Gray and Osborne Professional Services. Gray and Osborne for their engineering professional services on the Millerdale Utility Study and authorize the city administrator to sign the agreement.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Navarro Gomez and second by Councilmember Atkinson for city council approved agreement with Gray and Osborne for their engineering professional services on the Millerdale Utility Study and authorize the city administrator to sign the agreement. Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? All right. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Darcy.
Thank you.
Good evening again, Jessica Shaw, Deputy Public Works Director Utilities for the Public Works Department. And I'm here tonight to present on behalf of Terry O'Keefe, our Water and Collections Manager. He presented this request to approve a change order for our 8 million gallon reservoir, Jefferson Reservoir improvements at the Finance Committee, I believe on Tuesday. Our Jefferson Reservoir is our largest reservoir, and unfortunately, it's also getting old. It's about 60. It was built in the 60s and has reached near the end of its life. And so we're doing some rehabilitation to it to hopefully get more time out of this tank. And so we started a project this spring to put a lining in the tank because it was leaking. It was losing almost 60 million gallons a year and was contributing to some of our water loss, which was over 20% system-wide. So the lining has been installed. Unfortunately, during the course of the project, we discovered some additional safety improvements that we needed to secure the ladder, which is on the outside of the tank. And we also discovered that the roof was far worse shape than what we thought. So this change order will help cover those additional safety improvements, but the biggest expense is really just to seal up that roof, which initially when we did the condition assessment and brought this to you last year, we were like, well, I think it's mostly aesthetic. But then once we took the tank out of service and it rained this spring, it rained inside the tank. So not a good scenario. We feel as staff that we definitely need to make sure that's sealed up and secure. So we are proposing that in addition to some smaller changes that we also get that roof sealed up. Terry also included some great pictures which show some of the assessment by Gray and Osborne, our consultants that's helping us design and construction management. They're doing a fantastic job, a very detailed review of what needs to be done. And the other good news is that we had budgeted 1.1 million roughly for this project, and bids came in well under that. So even with this change order of 180,998.55, we are still well under budget for the project overall. So, and this of course is funded by our water utility, and I'm happy to answer any questions if I have.
So Jessica, we have 4 tanks total in our city. This is the biggest tank we have.
Correct.
Do you remember, when we looked at this, because how much, I want people to understand like how much it's spending, I guess. Yeah, I forget what Terry said at some point. It was incredible. I was like, what? How did that work?
Yeah, 60 million gallons a year. And so the whole city uses, like during the summertime, we can use 10 to 15 million gallons in a day. So if you think everybody in the city using water, that's how much water we were losing, like a week's worth of that. And so that's a lot. And so it ends up being about 20%. And that's not all of it. I know we have other leaky pipes and aging infrastructure out there. We also have our Okanagan Reservoir, which is a smaller one, which is going to be 100 years old pretty soon, and that one also leaks. And so, but that one is kind of beyond rehab, but this one has the opportunity to be rehabilitated. And actually, we're really excited. We're not quite done getting the liner sealed up exactly, but we're down now to 14 gallons per minute. And we were well over 140 gallons per minute. So huge improvements already with the progress of this work, and we're hoping to have it all finished up this fall. So. Yeah.
All right, Your Honor, I'll make a motion for city council to approve change order number 1, 8 million gallon Jefferson Reservoir improvements and authorize the city administrator's signature.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ewer and second by Councilmember Atkinson for city council to approve change order number 1, 8 million gallon Jefferson Reservoir improvements and authorize the city administrator's signature. Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Brad again.
Hello again. I should first apologize that you have to hear me twice in one evening. I did not plan that on purpose. So tonight I have for you the first 2025 budget amendment. We will probably see 3 of these, another one in summer and one in November or December. The state law requires that we you adopt our budget, and any changes to that need to be brought to city council to be amended. We have state auditors who make sure that we are following our legal budget authority. For if the public isn't watching it that close, the auditors do, and so does the finance department. So tonight I've got a budget amendment for you. All of these items have been discussed at finance committee and supported by finance committee. The first couple on here on the list of budget amendments are fully grant funded. They just weren't anticipated in the 2025 budget. Then the largest one on here, convention center upgrades. These are for furniture, fire sprinkler systems, integrated audio visual equipment. Those were not part of the big renovation project that's happening, but they do go hand in hand with the work that's being done. The city has a convention center fund that accumulates funds for the ongoing maintenance and improvements of that. That is separate from the big $16 billion bond issuance that we had for the renovation. With that, any questions?
I don't have any questions, but just for the record, Brad, you can be on your meeting time throughout the night. It's a pleasure. So, motion for city council to adopt ordinance number 2025-03, amending the 2025 budget adopted by the ordinance number 2024-28 to revoke, recall, or decrease all or a portion of the total appropriations provided, and enter finding that this ordinance is in the best interest of the city.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hornby and second by Councilmember Ewer for city council to adopt ordinance number 2025-03, amending the 2025 budget as adopted by ordinance number 2024-28 to revoke, recall, or decrease all or a portion of total appropriations provided, and entering findings that this ordinance is in the best interest of the city. Any discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
How much did you pay him to say that?
wasn't gonna deny him to say it. Do I owe you a beer then? Or do you owe me a beer?
Yes.
City attorney.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council, Danielle Marchant, City Attorney. I'm here to present ordinance number 2025-04. As the council may know, in 2023, Title I of the Wenatchee City Code did a big reorganization. Part of that reorganization included an amendment to section 1.06.060 of the city code relating to the confirmation of certain officers of the city. At that time, the city council voted to also provide for confirmation of terminations. The confirmation of terminations is not expressly allowed in the RCWs as part of city council obligations or duties, but but it's also not expressly prohibited. So generally, the city council cannot do something that's expressly prohibited in the RCWs. The ordinance was approved in the 2023 timeframe, as I stated before. That ordinance is deemed to be valid and constitutional until challenged. There is now, not now, but there was at that same time a potential challenge that ordinance could have been deemed invalid because of a separation of powers issue between the mayor and council. In 2023, the council and the mayor were willing to take that risk. In 2025, under the current administration, that risk is not willing to be taken to where a challenge related to that ordinance can be done. I would also note that in April, I think it's April 23rd, I was at a WASAMA conference. WASAMA stands for Washington State Association of Municipal Attorneys Conference. This issue was discussed, whether a city council has the power to confirm a termination of an appointment. And the presenter did opine that the city council does not have that power, although it's not expressly prohibited. There's an implied conflict because the statute does state that the mayor does have the power to appoint, the mayor has the power to remove, and then the statute also says that the council has the power to confirm an appointment and then is silent on the confirmation of the termination. So that presenter opined that by implication, the city council does not have the power to confirm a termination. So the other part of the presented ordinance on 2025-04 kind of cleans up something that should have been repealed. Like I said, we did a reorg of that Title I. Parks and Rec Department description went in Title 1.08, but it was mistakenly left in 1.06. Any questions?
I think this is a good policy decision to do this, and so I will go ahead with that and make a motion for the city council to adopt ordinance number 2025-04, revising chapter 1.06 of the Wenatchee City Code pertaining to form of government, city offices by amending WCC 1.06.060 and reviewing WCC 1.06.100.
Second. We have a motion by Councilmember Atkinson and a second by Councilmember Hornby for City Council to adopt ordinance number 2025-04, revising chapter 1.06 of the Wenatchee City Code pertaining to the form of government, city offices by amending WCC 1.06.060 and repealing WCC 1.06.100. Any discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. So we're gonna go to the mayor's report. I'm gonna ask Laura to help me here in a second. She emailed me a couple of things. We're kind of scrambling all day. I do have a couple of things that I was gonna help, and maybe you could help me with a couple here too, that you sent me. I did meet with Confluence Health Community on how they could participate. Been asked to go over to a couple of homes. The chief medical officer and I known each other for a while, and I'm trying to see how we can get Confluence Health to participate more in our community. So we'll see how that goes. We did meet with the state auditor, Pat Bartley, and that was kind of interesting. There was some free stuff on the website and kind of compare cities on, for example, like how many police you have or whatever, kind of see their budget. It's kind of interesting to see those. They have all the information, and so now they put it all together for us to be able to use. I thought that was interesting that we did. Rivercom, nothing. I went to Rivercom, nothing too exciting, except obviously we need dispatchers. That's a big need there. It was exciting to go to the All Service Club luncheon, Cass Gevers. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Gevers Farms. And Brewster, he is a huge force in the apple industry. is happened to be somebody I went to high school with, which is interesting. And the main speaker there was Ruben Mays, and if anybody went to Washington State University, they would know Ruben, he's the #1 athlete on their board in the whole history of Washington State University. Played professional football, incredible athlete. I want to thank, for people who come to the Mississauga welcome reception, our city council, so I appreciate that. And then I want to turn this over to our city administrator for a couple other things I'm sure I forgot.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a couple of other items. Next week, there is a work session on May 15th for the city council regarding the comprehensive plan and visioning process. And so that'll be led by the community development team. As a reminder, June 1st, the South End pedestrian bridge project will mean that the Clark Pipeline pedestrian bridge will be closed. And so big item to put there on the community's calendar, June 1st, the loop trail piece will no longer connect. You'll have to do the detour. And other than that, I think the mayor mentioned the majestic groundbreaking earlier this week. So thank you to Councilmember Harold, who was there as mayor pro temp to take on some of those ceremony duties. And then there was also a lot of attendance from the council members. Really exciting project in our community. So that's it.
Mayor, last week I attended the CBCH open house with Councilmember Charlie. It was an excitement opportunity to see the new building. It's located at East One Avenue, East Wenatchee. They had a great, Councilmember Charlie, if I miss anything, please continue with this. The 2 floors upstairs is for the adults and the bottom floor is for the children. So it's the behavioral services. What it is, the behavioral services. Behavioral health services, yes. And what I liked about it is that the CEO, Manuel, explained to us really well that they started with 14 staff members at that building and now they've doubled. So they're all booked because of the services they're providing for the whole community, the whole valley. The rooms had great decorations and they were expanded, or they were bigger than any other rooms that you go to a clinic, which it helps you open up your mind and your soul, and give the opportunity to speak up more. So in other words, you can bring your whole family into the room and you can get the help that you need.
Heart of Mexico.
Heart of Mexico. The Heart of Mexico, it's an event. It's El Corazón de Mexico, and it's coming up this Saturday, the 17th of May at Town Toyota Center, 7 o'clock, and it's a free event where you have Mexican performers performing all kinds of the Mexican music, the Mexican tradition, and showing how all the dances. I encourage a lot of people to go. It's open to the public and it's free of charge. It's a great opportunity to be there to see another spice of Mexico coming up.
In addition to that, I would be remiss if I didn't say that we also have on the 17th, the La Terraza on the Avenue Festival, which is an incredible community celebration. So we encourage you to attend both of those events. I think they're very complimentary and fun, so families can come down and enjoy activities on the Avenue, bands, dancing, a tequila garden, if you should decide to participate in that funsy stuff. But it's going to be just a really beautiful day of celebration in our community. So I encourage you to go to both of those to check us out. Let's see, in addition to that, attended the groundbreaking ceremony at the Majestic, like the mayor had mentioned, and that was just a really great day. I loved the history that came out. Ron Lodge shared some history about the space and the building and how it first was developed, and remind me, what was it, 1910? Do you remember? It was really crazy, and he was like, he had just figured that date out a couple days prior, so it was just really neat to see that space, you know, hear how it was and what it looks like right now, and to dream what it will be here very soon, and the impact that's gonna have on that south end of our avenue. It's gonna make it so vibrant and exciting, so that was a great celebration. It was a beautiful day, nice and warm. So that's that.
Do you want to? Do you want to?
Thank you.
This will be a good break to say thank you for hosting Pybus, the event to allow us to come here for, as a partnership with you, and we appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, well, I have been very busy this last week. I know as you guys as well. And helped with the Masala welcome dinner, just such a beautiful experience. If you've never joined, I encourage you to just show up. We had a wonderful woman and her son who came up from Oregon, and their grandfather, excuse me, was from Masala. And so there was a lot of history and rich, just the beauty of the diversity and cultures. It was just amazing. Attended the Day of the Child event at Parque Padrinos or Bethel Park. Beautiful how we had lots of families, and they really promoted the health and wellness of our families, and really acknowledging that as a community, we do value our children and we want them to continue to grow and thrive, and have a very wholesome environment where they can feel loved and cared for. It was nice to see our city staff there promoting some of our projects, so kudos to our city staff. Also attended the Crescent Latin Empowerment Conference at Wenatchee Valley College. And we had students from Brewster, East Wenatchee, Quincy, Kashmir, so it's really nice. And the groundbreaking at Majestic. And the only other thing that I'll leave you guys with, I know Mr. Atkinson has really helped us lead this amazing effort of exploring the Junior City Council. I know you guys all got a copy of the proposal, and we would just encourage you to, we would like to open it to any questions as far as if there's anything that you guys are wondering about, or whether we can get the green light to move forward with this amazing initiative where we're going to connect and partner with local private and public schools to get juniors and seniors to actively engage in civics and be part of our community.
I got nothing. No, I did show up to the Majestic, and then, hopefully this week we can get the final sign off on the, Pybus new outdoor stage. We are scheduling a ribbon cutting ceremony for June 7th after the farmers market. So come on down from 3 to 6. Just Us Band will be playing and celebrating the new outdoor space for music and art.
I wore my Wenatchee Police Citizens Academy shirt tonight. It was also the police proclamation too, but just wanted to mention if you haven't participated, and Laura and Dick have participated, something to think about. It's a tremendous experience. Starts in mid to late August, it goes to early November. Excellent opportunity to learn more than you ever thought there was to know about law enforcement, and specifically the Wenatchee Police Department. So if you have any interest, now's the time to be thinking about that. And I think you can even go on their website, on the city's website, and find more information about that as far as.
Kind of fun to hear everything you guys are doing. All right, with that, any other announcements? I don't think we're good, so get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Atkinson, enthusiastic by Councilmember Hayward to adjourn meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.